Episode 5. We've come a long way. Jeez. It's been what? Like 2.5 weeks since I joined? Today, there are a couple things I want to talk about. First off, this new twist. I did record a previous session of this. That was before I got a lot of information and got reads on like how everyone is taking this. Because I had ideas of how people would take this, but some people did not do the thing I thought they were gonna do. The twist this time is the Assassin's twist from spiderweb 24. Geez, we're not that far in. Spiderweb 4, my apologies. If you put in a certain number of self votes and your target is eliminated, you will get a certain number of coins. I don't know how I like this spread. If you vote yourself once, you get a coin, but you have to get an extra 4 votes for a second coin, and then it increases by 4 every time, which is really weird. It also has some funny side effects where Duffy just gave up and put 13 self-votes just because they could. That was really funny. It was funnier to see the aftermath. Oh my god, that was the greatest thing I've ever seen. Anyway, people gave out their targets. Some people revealed, some people didn't. Fortunately, I have the confessionals. I know who everyone's target is. Well, most of them. There are 6 I don't have. Fortunately, I didn't need those either. I was able to compile a list of everyone's targets just so I could keep track of them for this phase. I was fortunate that 4 of the people who didn't have public confessionals just revealed theirs, and for the other 2 it was pretty obvious. Evan decided to just randomly throw Arctic out of nowhere. It felt extremely forced. It was to the tune of what does the fox say or something, and a lot of the points just didn't make sense. My surprise, you go to the spider web and no one here is talking about... Oh, wait, the zap is happening. Give me a second. We know who it is, right? We know who this is gonna be. Unless there was some shenanigans going on in someone else's... Yeah. Foxland was cool. I liked seeing them play. Alright, Evan's gonna get a fuck ton of coins. For some reason, I don't know what it was, no one caught on to Evan having Arctic as a target. Maybe I'm giving myself too much credit. Anyway, I had ideas about what strategies people would use. I was right with some and very wrong with others. I thought there was going to be at least one person who would just straight up lie about their target publicly, but that didn't end up happening. As far as I've seen, everyone has told the truth. I thought someone was gonna lie and then there'd be a huge feud between the person who actually has it and the person who's lying about it to try and prove that they're the one with that target. But I guess the one caveat to that is what's the practicality behind that? I also thought that there would only be a few swaps because it would all be the most difficult names to get out, but I forgot to consider that people are chill with one another, and if they got someone as a target, they would just straight up not want to get them out, so they'd rather have someone else even if it is a terrible option. But that is a pretty cool strategy. Some people got screwed over, but most people it ended up working out for them. One thing I did get right was that there were going to be people who just straight up revealed their thing. It was a lot more than I thought, but I knew there was going to be at least some people who would publicly reveal their targets truthfully. But that became a trend pretty quickly, and there were a lot of people revealing theirs. There were some other minor details that I mentioned, but nothing super serious. This is my favorite twist so far. There are so many ways people can take this. I'm really excited to see where this goes. This is gonna be awesome. With that out of the way, this is one I've been wanting to do for a long time. About a week ago or something, I got invited to the circle here. So here we are. I just wanted to look through the circle the same way I did with my first look through the spider web and just notice the differences, because I'm pretty sure this was intended to be purely a new player circle, which didn't end up happening. There are some veterans in here. I haven't checked who, but I do know there are some veterans. I thought we just look through the circle same way we did with the spider web and note the differences between them. Now, this isn't a perfect comparison by any means because it's 2 completely different servers with a lot of different people. The circle is running a new player game, and the spiderweb is running an all-star game. The bad thing about this is that I wanted to do this earlier because I know the early game and getting the inactive players out lasted much longer here than in the spiderweb, purely just because of experience and how long it would take to get all the inactive players out. Unfortunately, I don't get to get a fresh look at that. First thing I want to do, is there a summary?
12 seconds later.
I looked for about like 15 seconds, I couldn't find one, so we're gonna have to do this manually. So the first thing I did was look at a throw. So we might as well just like look at a throw. We have Smiley here throwing Wally. No! Don't throw Wally. It's my favorite movie. Alright, let's go ahead and look at this throw. Hasn't been in the vote conversation as much, and if so, it's been small. Let's look at our example. And I can agree, that's a pretty bare bones. Small but something, although Wally has made bitter comments. People with that kind of attitude from people regardless of their mood, because I know I will never be like that because I wouldn't want to hurt people. That's an interesting take, but this is exactly the way I would play if I started playing right now. Keep saying the same points that have already been said without any actual progress. You're not actually contributing. I would agree with this. If you want to contribute, your points have to be original. Same in the spider web for that one. This implies something. I feel like this implies that they've been mostly voting off vibes. I'd need to double check this. By the looks of just this message, it does look like they've been voting on vibes. Time to stop being so easy and making it hard for everyone. This was the case in round 4 in the spiderweb. We are now halfway through this one, and it's now being brought into consideration. And there's some extra stuff. Might have a throw on someone that hasn't been mentioned, but I'd have to do more research. Yeah, it's been 3 days. You should probably have that out, I'm not gonna lie. Don't want to go too much in detail. This is a big difference. In All-Stars, people will go all out on their throws. He mentions that there are probably better throws, and I wouldn't be surprised. And was there a defense from Wally? Defense. Don't expect any defense from me within the next 2 hours. I'll be kind of busy. The way this looks, Wally's probably going to be gone soon, but I also don't know the dynamics here. For all I know, they could just let Wally off the hook. I doubt they will, purely because of just how far in we are. But you also, like, can't be certain, you know. There is one thing. I have been looking through this. There are a lot less steps than in All-Stars. Even though half the players are gone, there isn't too much stress with this circle. Oh, this is interesting. I didn't actually notice this earlier. They have reserves for when people step. So only one of the reserves has been eliminated, I think. So it's not like they're getting booted immediately, which would probably be the main concern. Oh, wait, there was one thing I caught that I wanted to mention. The one thing I take away from this. Now, this is less of a difference between All-Stars and regular, and more just a difference between the servers. There's a revote between tied players. And then there's the case if all players tie. The 24-hour extension is the same, but in here, you're at the mercy of God. You have a 20% chance of getting kicked. Honestly, I like the spiderwebs method better. I don't like having it come down to random chance. Now, probably the biggest difference between them is the twists. This was part of the reason I wanted to bring up the twist in the spiderweb. There's callbacks to the previous twists, and therefore, there are going to be multiple twists that rotate. Now, I haven't read this twist. It looks pretty complicated, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm gonna go ahead and read through this, and it'll be a lot harder to share the similarities and differences because by the looks of it, this is completely different from anything we've seen in the spiderweb so far. So let me go ahead and read this really quickly, and I will get back to you. So I have now read through it. And the main thing I take away with this is, what the hell am I reading? This is so confusing. Thank the Lord the spiderweb twists are like clear and concise. This is just super confusing. So you have player A wants to dance with player B. Player B wants to dance with player A. They dance together. Player C was left all alone. What does player C have to do with player A now? Huh? I'm so confused. Is this supposed to be player A and player C, or is this supposed to be player B? If the person you dance with has the same vote with you, your individual voting power will be equal to the number of players you're dancing with. However, if you don't dance together and stray from the lockstep by voting separate ways... By the way, look, what this is saying, if you have 3 players and 2 players dance together, a third player can screw player A over by voting someone else and nullifying player A's vote, despite the fact that player A and player B are dancing together. This is so weird. This I understand. If player A picks B, picks C, picks D, and D picks A, then all 4 of them will dance together, and all 4 of them will have a vote power of 4 for a combined 16. This is all going over my head. And I want to ask, but I feel awkward because I have no messages here. I joined a week and a half ago. Actually, I should look at a throw and defense combo. Hold on, let's look at a defense really quickly. Oh, thank you. Perfect timing. Here's Tim throwing Jack on behalf of Smiley. This is definitely a way to go with the throw. 1 link and screenshots. This is kind of similar and kind of different in a few ways to what I've seen in the... I can see Jack is taking a stance against Chester here. Beth and apparently TG were the 2 main votes. He stuck with Chester despite it being a not too popular pick. So here, he's being praised for this. So that isn't something I've seen like much of at all in the spiderweb so far. So that's cool. I like this. I'm gonna bring this up. I don't want it to be like American politics where you only have 2 major options, and if you pick anyone else, you're shunned for it. I would like to know that I am safe if I'm taking stances against other options. Leaving points open for other people to find. This is not at all something I'm finding in All-Stars. He does mention the lack of strategical talk. And these screenshots are just like basic conversation, except talking about like the twist and who could maybe be going out there. But this is interesting. Purposefully leaving points open for other people. I would think you would just want to take all the points for yourself so other people can't make those points and get contribution points. Like, I feel like you would want to take as much contribution points as possible, but maybe I'm just wrong. Considering this is my first like super in-depth look into this, there's a very good chance I'm wrong. Oh, this was like 2 days later. Okay, one thing I'm noticing about this, where's the punctuation? Jack makes the argument that he has been contributing a lot during the game and also giving explanation as to why he hasn't been contributing as of late. And someone said this was round 17, I think. Gave thoughts on Hatter and why he should go, what my issues with him were. Did talk about the vote between Chester and Baz, as well as giving my opinion and the vote, as well as telling people to vote Chester. Is this the same message? That might be the same message from the throw. That is the exact same message as the throw. Not great use of the links, I'm not gonna lie. The round 12 argument was good though. I have had many conversations with people about smaller parts of the game, which I feel people have forgotten that I was a part of. Even if they did not mean much to the vote, I still feel the smaller conversations during vote talks means a lot. A little. Any contribution does help, but if you want the big contribution points, you're going to have to be a part of the big conversations, the big vote discussions, all that kind of stuff. I feel like that's similar in the spiderweb. It's probably much more prominent in the spiderweb, but I'm sure it also plays like a pretty big role in the circle. I don't see any reason why not. I know this wasn't super in-depth. I say I learned a lot today. This is my first in-depth look into Cycle 25. This definitely gives a very different perspective on a lot of stuff. I'm gonna be looking into this more. There are some things I do question, like how small the throws are. I'm wondering if bigger throws like are frowned upon here. And there are a few other things I want to look into that will be for when I can put my full focus into researching. I know that's like kind of what I'm trying to do with this this series, but I feel like there's a lot of stuff that I've been missing, and looking back would mean looking at a ton of stuff, and I don't want to be making a 30-minute video. This was a pretty fun video to record. I had fun with this. Yeah, I'll definitely be continuing to look into this and trying to figure this out, finding the differences between all-stars and a normal circle. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. I might make a follow-up to this. If people say that I like missed a bunch of stuff with this, then I'll probably end up coming back to this and going more in depth with the things that people caught. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the support on this series. It really does mean a lot. Yeah, that'll do it. I'll see y'all in the next one.